They work fast
right there
to build a wall against the storm.
It takes 3 full days for our team to set it up, about 60 guys.
It's called the Aqua Fence, 1,000 feet long, 9 feet high, designed to protect Tampa General Hospital from a 15-foot storm surge.
We're a 100-year-old hospital, and we're right here on the bay. We can't evacuate. There's not enough hospital beds in the region to take our patients.
At a cost of $1 million, they say each time they put it up, they improve it. But the real force that holds it up is when floodwater piles onto the horizontal base.
So the weight of the water actually supports the wall, and we bolt it into the ground to keep the wind from blowing it over before the water gets here.
We're told the Aqua Fence has been used for years in places like Norway to keep streams within their banks. Here in Tampa, it's used to protect a major hospital built right on the water.
Tampa General was built in the 1920s on an island in the bay. People still wonder why they would build it there. Just a few years after the hurricane of 1921. That was the last time Tampa suffered a direct hit from a major hurricane.
Not an ideal location to build a facility like this.
But the army of installers doesn't second-guess the decision of 100 years ago. They drilled wells in case city water fails, with backup generators, trucking in food for 5 days, and preparing for the worst.
We expect that there's going to be 12 feet of water. We will move all of the patients and staff up to the upper floors. It's actually safer to keep them here than to transport.
At this hospital on the bay, they build a fortress against the storm. Lloyd Sowers, Fox 13 News.
Hey YouTube world, Harvest Plenty. Thanks for stopping by to check out the video. So as you guys know, September is still National Preparedness Month, and I want to talk a little bit about Hurricane Helene that's projected to be a Category 4. Hopefully by the time it reaches landfall, it'll be downgraded to a Category 3, 2, or 1, or whatever case may have you. But it's projected to hit the Florida Panhandle, Tallahassee, Panama City area. They're expecting a lot of rain, and it's going to continue inland through Georgia and a couple of other states. But, you know, it got me thinking about Hurricane Beryl and how a lot of the residents in Houston was unprepared when it came through. You had power outages, you had people who ran out of food, who ran out of water. They didn't have any backup power supply. So if you are along this particular hurricane path, my prayers go out to you, to your family members, to your friends, and whoever else that you know live in these areas. But prepping is not always for grid down. It's for normal, everyday occurrences, and it's also for natural disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and things like that. So that's why it's important to have, you know, food, extra water, batteries, backup power supply, and all those things on hand. Again, my prayers go out to everybody that's in the path of this particular hurricane, and make sure that you guys pray as well for these individuals. We're probably going to have some situations where when the power goes out, a lot of people are going to suffer simply because they are unprepared. I hope that's not the case for you and yours. Hopefully I'll come back and do another update of the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Until then, may the good Lord continue to bless you and your family. Stay safe out there, pray without ceasing, and prep. Always be ready and prepared. God bless.
Well, Helene's, just a powerful hurricane, not just in terms of the peak winds, which are right now around 90 miles per hour, but it's an expansive hurricane. The tropical storm force winds extend out over 300 miles away from the center. We're already seeing rain bands move inland across Florida. We've had heavy rainfall out in advance of Helene across much of the southeastern United States up into the southern Appalachians. We're very concerned about multiple life-threatening hazards. That storm surge risk, the catastrophic life-threatening storm surge that we're expecting here along the Big Bend coast of Florida, everywhere you see here in purple in this area from Carabel down to Suwannee River. Somewhere in there, we're expecting to see 15 to 20 feet of inundation above ground level with destructive wave action on top of that. So if you've been asked to evacuate in this region in particular, please do so. You still have time to get out, but conditions are going to deteriorate quickly today. We're going to have rain bands. Those tropical storm force winds are going to start to move on shore. We're going to see the center of Helene make landfall sometime this evening, somewhere in this vicinity. And then we're going to see widespread wind impacts with hurricane warnings extending all the way across much of northern Florida, the Panhandle, and up into southern and even central Georgia, because Helene's going to be moving so quickly, 25 miles per hour. It's not going to have time to weaken very much after landfall. And those hurricane force winds with the potential for power outages, tree damage, and especially right along the coast, destructive winds that could cause total building failure, roofs being torn off right where landfall occurs, is going to cover a large area. And you can see tropical storm warnings everywhere in blue for almost the rest of the state of Florida, much of Georgia, all of South Carolina, portions of western North Carolina. And then we're going to get into the heavy rainfall threat, which is really going to result in a multi-day rainfall, 2-day rainfall event. And we're very concerned about the potential for flash flooding, life-threatening flash flooding here in the Florida Panhandle, southwest Georgia, southeast Alabama, near where the center of Helene makes landfall, and then up here into the southern Appalachians, into southwestern North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, northeast Georgia. Everywhere you see in pink here is that level 4 out of 4 risk for where we could see catastrophic, life-threatening flooding and even landslides up here into the southern Appalachians with as much as 18 inches of rain expected.
Michael, those words you are using, catastrophic, life-threatening, just further showing how important it is to, as you always say, heed the warnings of local officials. We know several evacuation orders are underway at this hour. Maybe there's someone at home watching who's saying, you know what, I know I'm in an evacuation area, but I can handle this. I don't need to leave. What words would you share with them?
That you don't want to put yourself at risk, because by the time you realize you want to leave, it might be too late, especially here in this region in the Florida Panhandle and in the storm surge warning area here. The water is going to come up very quickly and going to lead to really unsurvivable conditions near where Helene's center makes landfall, because it's not just going to be the surge, 15 to 20 feet of water, but it's going to be destructive wave action on top of that, which has the potential to destroy homes, wash cars away, cut off evacuation routes very quickly. You know, we saw in Hurricane Michael in Mexico Beach, many people lost their lives because they chose to stay and they tried to get out. People died in their cars trying to evacuate, but it was too late. So don't put yourself or your family at risk in those areas. If you've been asked to leave, please just go to a shelter. Every county has shelters. Your local officials will tell you where to go. You don't have to drive 100 miles to get to a safe place. Just get somewhere out of that storm surge evacuation zone to make sure you save your life.